How are you today? Good afternoon.
If I were any better, I'd be dead, floating around in heaven. I am good. Thank you. Thank you. Are you getting ready for a big weekend?
Big weekend for me and my wife is just, and Grace is just relaxing because we're
Me
so
too.
busy with, the baby and a bunch of stuff going on. So for us, like literally our 4th of July is just going to be maybe going in the pool, but probably just eating some Chick-fil-A and being nice and lazy.
Me too. That is exactly what I'm planning for this weekend.
Mhm.
Relaxing. Actually, I'll probably work all the way through it if the truth is known. So, I wanted to go back to what you said about
Mhm.
the beginning. Because I'm writing another book and I have a chapter in my life book about you. Because of the experience, that I've had with you, and what an awesome experience that has been. Um, and for you to take a chapter in somebody's, you know, I don't want to call it a autobiography, but just kind of giving people the beginnings where I came from, what my life looked like leading up to velocity banking, and then after the fact. And for you to take a chapter in someone's book in their life, I think that about says it all. Because the impact that you and what you do with your own business has been absolutely amazing. I kind of got tickled actually because I was going through my life and talking about the voices that have influenced me throughout my life, which it started at about 18. When it comes to your vision for your life, what your goals are. Of course, I didn't follow through on that till 20 years later. But I just can go back and I have these flashes of, wow, I remember when he said that. I had another person that told me in my 30s, you can make it happen. Well, he wasn't talking about business or anything, I guess kind of, but it was when I was going through to get my inspection license. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm a certified welding inspector. And so, that's a very deep, hard process to get that licensing. And I kept hearing, you can make it happen. And at first I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But then when you think about that, you can make it happen. You can make anything you want in your life to happen. And since that period, I have seen, I don't go to the computer anymore. I used to have a problem with, going to a new software, for example, that I had to use with Fantastic. And I'm like, oh, this is overwhelming. I can't do this. I'm going to turn this over to Alex. But what I have learned is a now, when it comes to writing the books, especially, I used to say I could never write a book. I don't even know where to start. And so when you start asking for wisdom, it's amazing how things start unfolding. But I don't go to a task anymore and say, oh, this is overwhelming. I can't do this. You and I had the conversation about a year ago, setting up, making Fantastic a trademark. And we kind of had a conversation. And when I went and looked at the forms to set that up, I'm like, oh, I can't do that. That's just, and I thought, no, no, you can do this and you're going to do this. But getting back to my book where I'm talking about you, and a 20, I think you were 25 at the time. So we got a 25-year-old telling a 50-year-old, how to do something, which, a lot of people, they would blow you off, as I did. My husband is the one that stepped in there. But, I was like, oh, he's a kid. He doesn't really know what life's about. And, how can I trust him? How do I know? That's a lot of money he's charging. Why would I do that? And my husband saw right through you, and I'm forever thankful that he did, because you have impacted my business to the point. I never dreamed you would be able to help in. I just wasn't thinking about you being, all in, and you absolutely were. So, I think I wanted to start with that because people need to see that I'm not on here promoting Alex Albaran so that he can, get bigger in his business. I am on here to tell people that if you have any dream of doing something, and it has to be your dream because it's going to take work, it's going to take you're really going to have to be all in on this. But if you're all in on something and you're just thinking about, what this would look like, how this is going to work out, if it can work out. Am I too old? I can't go on and do videos because I sound like a Tennessee hick, and nobody wants to hear a Tennessee hick tell them how to do their finances. All of the excuses that I had. And I think the big one for the YouTube channel was, well, my family, they're around here and they think it's stupid what I'm doing. I had people tell me, things like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to put your business out there? Why would you want, people to, why would you even want to help people? That was the big one that I was like, a wow moment.
Wow.
But when you put all of that, I'm doing it. I don't care, how embarrassing it gets. Wow. When you take that first step and you're serious, I call it the Lord. I know He's the one that opened all of these doors. He's definitely the one that led me to you. He's the one that led my husband to be sitting there that day that we were having our third conversation about why I didn't want to use you. And he's like, and he worked in prisons all of his life, so he doesn't trust anybody. So I was so surprised. But wow, I can't say enough about what you've done and what you've been to my life. I'll try not to cry because it's a serious emotional attachment now that I have to you, and what you've done, your diligence, your sincere dedication to my dream. So thank you, Alex.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And that's cool. Is it your faith book or which book?
I actually just released the second faith book. Yeah, this is amazing how this has unfolded. I literally fought to get their English in high school. So, yeah, I'm really surprised that I'm doing this. But the Fantastic Banking was the first one. I have Faith That Works. That one came out last week. This week, hopefully by Monday, it will be up on Amazon, and it's called Black Shouts. Faith Shouts Back. I really like that one. It's a lot of detail. Then we've got the other one that I haven't quite named yet, but it's going to be something along kitchen table talks.
Mm.
And I think I did that because the kitchen table is where I always sit down with the pile of bills. So, we start with walking out on the stage for Fantastic. We give just a little glimpse of, my husband being there and him always being my support. Me looking back at him, seeing him in the curtains. You never see him, but he's a very big player in this game. But yeah, then it goes from the stage all the way back to when I was a child, living in the one bedroom renovated garage that the kitchen was just big enough that you could slide into the sink area there, and the sofa couch. What am I? The pull out, whatever you call those, the sleep thing. The living room was just enough to pull that couch out into the bed, and you had to, you couldn't even walk by it. So that's my first memories of a home. And the thing is that to think that you could come from that to this, people don't, that was never a possibility for me. You don't think like that. You think, and I was told, I remember, I don't remember, I think it was my mother. She said to me one time, when I was in high school, she said, rich men don't marry people like money, marries money. And so, you're going to be a secretary. I remember all these things, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to be a secretary all of my life with a couple of kids. That was just who I was. So when the doctor presented me with the It Works book when I was 18, I worked for him, which I have a chapter on him. Um, wow, he doesn't even know. He doesn't now because I talk to him still. But he didn't even remember handing me the book. I thought that was so funny because in my life, that's wow. This is the first thing I ever heard about setting your goals and making things happen for you. He doesn't even remember it, but he completely changed my life. And um, you know, influence throughout our lives are it's so much more than what we're even thinking at the time. But looking back is 2020, right? You can see how the Lord was working in your life through this whole period, all to bring you to where you are today. But today's not a stopping point. Today is, well, let's write books and let's get more information out to people and let's, see how far we can take this. And that's exciting when you're living in that world instead of, oh, okay, I get paid on Friday and it's already gone because I have to make my car payment, right? So I'll quit talking.
No, I was talking about that earlier and how people, when they get into entrepreneurship or starting something on their own, it's more about the freedom. That's what people tell me. It's not necessarily to get a materialistic thing or
Right.
things. Usually they're just like, I want to be able to control who I work with, how I work, what I work on. And like you're saying, being able to wake up every day and being like, you know what, I'm going to go from, like you're saying, 0 books to now you're going to have like five probably in
Right.
like the next,
Yeah.
by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And like there's literally nobody, nothing stopping you and you actually achieve it. I think people just they need to get a taste of that, because it's a big belief thing I was saying earlier, how people just before we even talk about strategies and how it all works, they have to believe that it's possible. If they don't really believe
Right.
that, you know what, I can do this, because of course people are going to tell you, oh, Christy, but you're so lucky and you had it all figured out. And people tell me that all the time. And I'm like, not necessarily.
Oh, yeah.
And I think people just need to have that belief to start. Then when they start, then it's more about like over time for you too. It's, strategy, the logic, the rationale side of business. But when you're starting, a lot of it is emotions and being able to kind of, we talked about this, manage the emotions and just start with the belief that, okay, it doesn't need to work right away. Let's have urgency, but let's give it time. And, what would you say to that person who's like, I just don't think like I need more credentials. I need to go back to school. And it's kind of all a cloak because they just don't really believe that it's possible or that people would listen to them.
Yeah, so I was just reading that chat, not getting to attend a funeral because it's not a family member and your boss can't let you go
That's
is the absolute
ridiculous.
worst.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. It is. Your child's sick and you know that you've already missed, 2 days this week because it's been sick and now, you're getting into real trouble. Um, Wanting to do things, attend ball games or plays that you want to see your kids in. Painful. That you can't even. In the book, I said I was writing last night, and I said I was trying to think up words to explain the feeling of debt when you are so overwhelmed that you really, and I called it in the book, hyperventilation. You want to go into hyperventilation because you don't know what you're going to do. And my stepdad said something to me one time that I thought was so funny. And he wasn't talking about my debt. He ran a business and he was talking about his debt. And he said, well, they can't eat you. And I was like, what? And he said, well, they can't eat you. I mean, they're going to hound you to death, but they can't eat you. And I thought, I've used that in a video before because I thought, they can't eat you. They can hound you on the phone, but they can't eat you. And what he was saying is that, it's all what you hear. It's not like that they're touching you physically, which eventually they will take your home, if it's something to do with that. But I think that we need to hear little things like that, so we can breathe. And when somebody feels like that they can't do something, then they can't. You have to know that you know that you know that you're going to give it all you've got. And if it fails, then you're going to try it another way, but you're not quitting. So, to answer what you said there, it's about you. You can only go as high as your mind will let you go. And if you expand your mind, and another thing in the book was that when I started asking for wisdom on finances, I kept getting these desires to study faith. It was so weird. And wisdom, he says that he'll give all the wisdom you want if you'll ask. And you don't have because you don't ask, literally in scripture. So when I started studying, wow, I have not, I don't ask the universe for things. I ask the creator of the universe for things, for wisdom, for ideas. And he says that he gives you the power to get rich. He didn't say he was going to throw money down from the sky. He said, I'm going to put thoughts and ideas in your head that's going to help you get rich. So, I didn't hear any of this growing up. This wasn't what we talked about in church. But I have just went into my own deep study. That's why I wrote the 2 books on faith, is people need to understand that until you believe that you can do it, and you have a higher power that wants to see you succeed, there is nothing stopping you. Nothing. It's not credit card debt. It's not your mama. It's not your spouse. This is about you and God and what is it that you want to do with your life. Uh, wow. I mean, I'm getting chilly bumps
People
because
are people are getting chill. They're getting the goosebumps. Everybody is loving this, and because it's so real, and nobody says that. Like especially with our faith, a lot of people say, "Oh no, well money is evil anyway, so why would I want to make money?" And it's like they don't realize that we all have visionary qualities, but few
right,
of us are vision makers because there's a gap between having these great ideas that we're blessed with, but then that's from God. But then us actually doing it is usually us getting in our own, human worldly way in terms of it's not the right time or when I pay this off and we just get in our own way because a lot of it's just fear of failure, fear of judgment. What are people going to say? What if
right.
my family or my coworkers see my YouTube videos? And that's what stops people. It's not anything they think it's rational, but usually not.
Yeah, well, Gene has posted in here, it's the thinking that makes it so, J.D. Rockefeller. Before Rockefeller was God. And in the Old Testament, in the Proverbs, it says, as a man thinks, so is he. That's huge. Whatever you think about yourself, that's what you are. I want to tell you, I have so many stories popping up in my head, and I hate to waste your time with it.
No, this is
But,
not a waste. This is a blessing. This is great.
people need to understand that I've had the same thoughts that you've had. Whatever weakness you're feeling in yourself, trust me, I was there and I still work every day to overcome. Okay. But my mom, I don't even know where it came from. It's just like in my late 30s. I'm an inspector, so you have to wear hard hats and blue jeans, right? So I've been through that too. But outside of my work, when I went to church or I went to family gatherings, I always dressed the ninth. It was so funny because I don't even know. I just always, I've heard in my later years that you need to dress for the part. you won't. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I want, but I want to be, fabulous. My three words for my life is elegant, energized, and peace. So I don't look elegant all the time, but I always put in the extra step. I always make my bed of a morning as soon as I wake up, because to me, if it's a made bed, then my mind is clear. And so my mother, I was at church. I was walking into church one day, and she said, "This is before I married my husband now." She said, "That guy, I can tell the way he talks. He only wants to, he just wants to, meet with you. He wants to date you." And I'm thinking, okay, he's an old man. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And then I said, and literally off the top of her head, she just said, "Well, I mean, you come in here dressed like you're off of a magazine. I don't understand why you do that." And I'm like, wow, I just got condemned because I tried to look nice everywhere I go. But, I would think that even before I knew about Fantastic, before I knew about getting on stages, that I was preparing for the part. I was ready. I have nice clothes that I literally bought off of the sell rack, uh, to dress like that. I'm spending hundreds of dollars a week on my clothes, and I'm not even today. So I feel like that, whatever you think about yourself, that's what you can accomplish. But when you start studying who you are in Christ first, but other people, their lives, I went into this deep study, on the Rockefellers and on the presidents, their wives, stuff like that, successful, worldly successful people. They do things differently. Donald Trump doesn't get up and go turn on the TV every day and sit with his feet propped up. He's obviously a worker, like him or not. He's accomplished a lot in his life. And when you see his schedule, you're like, wow, he's working for, and he's a believer in himself that he can accomplish things. And that goes for probably every senator that is sitting in there right now. So, not that there's somebody we should look up to, certainly not saying that, but just saying, studying people and what they do of a day. Tony Robbins, I mean, he gives all kinds of advice on what he does with his mornings, especially. And we need that. The Bible tells us to be diligent. So, do everything you do as unto him. And that way you're working for somebody that's really watching you. They're concerned about what you're going through. They want you to excel. I mean, I just think that there's so many things that people are grasping for out here when it's on the inside of them already.
Exactly. Yeah, that's such a great point. They think they need external validation, or they want to tell their friends and family, "Hey, I have this business idea." They get shot down. They're like, "You know what? That means that it's not a good idea."
Yeah.
A lot of people with their, and then they're asking people that don't have the success they want, most likely, on how to become successful. There's a bit of an issue there,
Yeah.
or like, yeah, like the spouse thing is hard when your spouse was super supportive. A lot of people I talk to, their
Yeah.
spouses, they're ingrained in get a job, pension, 401k, and just like this, which is not a bad thing. It's just it usually doesn't work if you really talk to, like you're saying, if you study wealthy people, none of them really followed the path that society tells us to follow or
Right.
that we learned in high school. So what would you say your final piece of advice? And I know people are loving this. Now I'll definitely send the recording because you're just dropping gems like every 5 seconds. So you're the goat. But what do you think you're definitely
I
the goat.
remember when the first person called me the goat, and I wrote you and I said, somebody just commented that I'm a goat under the video, and you said, no, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's not it's a positive. It's so you're the GOAT, and I think people are loving you being here. But what do you feel like is one final thing to leave people with, ideally on, the idea of doing it on their own versus this is a big one I hear. People kind of are thinking about doing something with an expert, but then they're like, you know what? I'm going to try this on my own. Like there's a lot of emotions behind that decision, and I usually never hear back from them. Of course, they're like, let me try for 6 months, and then if it doesn't work, then I'll contact you. It's something that's like they're never going to really take the next step. So, what would your advice be for somebody that's like, okay, should I just do this on my own, or should I get help?
Yeah. Great question. To respond to the first thing you said there about, oh, my family knocks down my ideas. I'm not sure that that's necessarily what they're trying to do. They're thinking safety mode. They're not wanting you to get hurt because you fail or whatever. I just, I had to get over that too, which, now I could care less what any of them say about anything that I do, all because I've seen the people that the channel has reached. Yeah, so if you have the friend, the family, that you think it's going to be a silly idea to them, uh, you can't tell big ideas to small-minded people, right? So you have to stay focused on what you feel like has been put on the inside of you to do. And if you have something and experience, people need to hear your experience. They need to hear what you've been through in your life because they're going through it right now. And again, I'm sorry I referenced the Bible for everything, but I mean, it's a game changer. But the Lord says in there that He comforted us through our struggles so that we can turn around and comfort someone else in theirs, giving Him the glory for, this is how you need to play this out. This is what you might want to think about doing, so that you're giving other people some ideas, some options, something to bring them some peace, because everybody is going through something right now, and you may have the answer and you don't even realize it. So I didn't even realize I was going to play that part until after Fantastic. But to answer your question about doing it on your own, I knew about velocity banking. I've known about that for 18 years at least. Um, I've only talked about it for the last 3. And I tried to work with the family. And I will tell you that today, I had a family member call me yesterday wanting to set up an appointment to talk about their finances. I will tell you that that is the first family member in
Wow.
3.5 years now on YouTube, the first family member that I have had that said, "Hey, will you send me a worksheet? What do I need to do to set up something with you to go over this?" I blew my mind. And it's for Myrtle Beach, right?
Oh,
So it's
nice.
not in my area.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to answer your question, I did try to do it without you. I tried to work, with the family members. I would reach out to friends, and tell them what I do. And they were interested, but I swear, the mindset around here is crazy. But they said, well, I would rather just stick with the demon I know. And I'm like, just emoji eye rolls, because you're like, wow, people do not want, they want to do better, but they really don't, or they would do better. You would get training, you would get educated. Anyway, I was a nervous wreck about my faith books coming out, because I think differently about the way the Lord talks about faith. And I'm like, nail biter, are they going to, report on Facebook, she has lost her mind? So, I mean, it goes through my head too. But I
Mm.
did try to do it on my own. I did try to get things rolling. And until I had the first conversation with you and you said, you need to start a YouTube channel, I immediately knocked that idea down. Because I was like, I can't, I just can't do that. But as I hired you and we started working step by step, um, what I noticed was any question that I had about anything to do with business, you had the answer. And to this day, you still have the answers. And we talk every day, at least once. And I don't know what I would do without that support there. That, I mean, and you could say, oh, you're almost 4 years into this. You don't need Alex anymore because you know what to do. You got this thing rolling. I pray to God that you don't go anywhere and that you don't dump me because I don't know what I mean. Thinking of going into the next day's business without just having you in the background as somebody that I can reach out to if I have a question. And I mean, you're immediate. So when I have a question, and you know this, sometimes I hound you to death. But you answer the questions and you give me peace immediately about what I need to be working on. Even with the books, I mean, you're the one that helps me to set up links for things, and you help me to give me ideas in the book that we're getting ready to write. I mean, I'm excited to write that because I know what I'm going to say. I already know Alex is the best. You are the GOAT. So when it comes to when it comes
Um,
to having that sidekick that is your partner in crime, or crime being your work, um, there's nothing that's going to replace that. And like I said, I don't ever want to come on and people say, oh, well, she's promoting something else. I have dumped partners before because I could not see that they were doing the business any good. And the way their customer service was, I'm not going to sell people on stuff like that because I think that's just dog dirty to do somebody that way, that like I was done. I think I told you in the last webinar we did, the online course I wanted to start that is finally up and running. I hired a company, had to pay $8,000 for them to show me how to set up my online course. I wish I could find the person that owns that and just, smack them, because you charged me $8,000 to to send me some videos. That made me so mad I couldn't breathe. And like I said, since that point, I know how it feels to get duped like that. I'm not going to do that. But the idea is with you, you are the one steady partner that I have had that I have no problem going on and doing a webinar. I mean, because I know what you do, I know who you are, I know how you work and how diligent you are in that. And I feel like people need to know, if they're looking to do any kind of business, you're the only person I can even imagine, even over Tony Robbins. I imagine that if I was to hire him, that he would be like, okay, you get one call per month. And, I thought that, did you hear that sound in my voice? Didn't I sound like him? That you
yeah,
get one
actually.
call per month. So I just don't think that, I don't think there's many people in the world that work the way you do. And I feel like people need to know that. We need to do more live streams, as a matter of fact.
Oh, well, thanks so much for sharing that. And yeah, that's the first time I've ever been called the GOAT. So that feels pretty cool.
You are the goat. You don't look like one,
Um,
but you are. And your kid, oh my gosh, I can't even wait to see this is it a boy? Did we
yeah,
decide it was a
boy.
boy? It
Mhm.
is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I ask you if he's gonna be Alex Jr.
No, everybody vetoed because my dad is actually Alex, so I am the junior technically. So yeah, everybody was like, no, too many Alexes. Cut
Oh
it
my
off.
gosh, Alex, as successful as you are, you've got to have a third. We've got to
Mhm.
have Alex Alberin the third out there.
Maybe if I have a girl, then Alex is kind of it can go unisex, you know.
That's true. You could name them both Alex.
Alex, one, two, three, four.
Yeah.
Um, that's
Alex and
funny.
Alex, you will be crazy trying to call your kids. Get over here,
Exactly. Gene
Alex. They
said
both look.
short name A3. That's actually kind of cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
But no, I don't, doing these, this is a pleasure. because I just feel like that you're such an easy sell, if that's what you want to call it, because I know that what you're going to do for people if they decide to hire you. Same thing I'm going to do for people if they decide to hire me. I'm going to make sure that everything I know, you know. And when you have any questions, if I know the answer, I'll give it to you. If I don't, I'll go searching. That's just the way I feel about it. So, I won't hold up your webinar because I do love to watch your webinars. I was just late today. But the idea here, people, is that you have somebody with you that is not just, you're not somebody that you get the one call per month. I really thought that's what this was going to end up being. But you're talking about somebody that you can get some sort of answer almost every day. I don't think there's been a day go by that I haven't texted or emailed you that you've replied. I may be wrong, but I don't recall it. So you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that out there. So another thing, Alex, you won't work with everybody, because I have had clients you've turned down because, they weren't ready, and you want to have people that are ready to run, because you're going to grab their hand and take off running, and they've got to keep up. I remember at the very first, you told me, okay, make a video, send it to me, let me review it. And I literally didn't respond because I was like, I'm not doing this. And I noticed that you didn't respond. And I was like, I told my husband, I said, see, he doesn't keep up with you. He's not any good. And he said, well, did you text him? And I said, well, no, I don't have that video ready. And he said, well, what can he do until you respond? And I'm like, okay. So I did it. You responded immediately. You told me how good it was. I know you were lying. I've gone back and looked at them since. But yeah, I know it was like, as I worked and got on fire more, you got on fire back. So you're kind of reactive. If somebody wants to move and move fast, you're right there. I've never ever said to you, hey, Alex, I have this idea. I think we should do this, or this. And you say, yeah, I think it's too early for that. I think you need to wait. I've never heard that from you.
Mhm.
You have always come right back with, okay, well, I can do this, and this. And then if you want to get that ready, then I'll throw it in here, websites, whatever it is. It's just, you've been a crazy ride, a crazy experience. And I just love you.
Oh, you too. And we're so early on. I was telling people right when I started, I'm like, you guys have to think more long term, because social media and society loves to highlight overnight success and
Hmm.
look at what this guy made in 2 weeks in his whatever trading thing. It's like anybody that has anything worthwhile, like even 3.5 years is not even long term. If you think about like most people starting a business, they even open up a restaurant, they spend hundreds of thousands. They probably break even after 18 months, maybe if it survives. Then
Hmm.
COVID, then they stay alive, and then they open up another location, and then, oh yeah, like Raising Cane's, but like, yeah, he was doing that for like 30, 35 years, or
Wow.
even
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A. Like Chick-fil-A, if you look at when they started, it was like, I don't even know, like 1950s or 60s or, in and out. And those are extremely expensive, hard businesses. Whereas, starting a YouTube channel, relatively isn't like costly necessarily. It's costly on the ego because you get negative comments and
Yeah.
it's work, but you did the work at the same time. Like you're saying, like at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. So if somebody's going to do the work, then they're going to grow a lot faster.
Oh, yeah. And, about the comments and stuff, I remember at the very first, I was so excited about the response that I had gotten back. It was so funny when I first started. I was like, how are people even going to see the videos? I mean, but it's amazing how YouTube works, right? They somehow get the videos out there. Uh, my husband has started his canine training, and he did one video very slow, kind of like at my beginning, very short. We put that up and it had like 11 views within so many minutes. And I'm like, that's amazing because he doesn't have one follower or subscriber. So, the it when you get or when I get negative comments, I literally from the first day I have laughed at it, and I don't even respond most of the time because who cares? Who cares? So you've got somebody out there that thinks they can do it better, or you've got somebody that I have it. I've had several comments where people say, "Is she drunk?" Because of the way I go
That's
on
funny.
in the videos. Sometimes I feel drunk because I'm so excited about what I'm doing that I'm all over the place. But yeah, I mean, you get negative things. I've had people tell me, I look like characters from the 80s, out of comedy shows or whatever. I could care less. I'm laughing with them. I usually send back a laughy face because, hey, I'm just glad you're watching a video. You're
Exactly.
getting some information. So don't let the negative people out there. They're always going to be there. Who cares? You're not looking at them. You're looking at what the vision is for your life that you have a set it up. And it made me think. My daughter Emily, she released her book this last week about the vision, about everything you ever wanted and how to get it. And that book talks about that. So I want, the faith area, the vision, the vision boards, what we've used through the years, velocity banking. I want it all out there so that everybody can know exactly what happened in my lifetime so that they can use it hopefully way after I'm gone. People can really go back and say, oh, okay, she did this three parts. She worked on her faith. She studied on who she was herself. She had visions set up that she looked at every day. She prayed about every day. That way, you have everything, including the strategies of using the bank.
Exactly. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining. And yeah, I gotta check out Emily's book. We'll promote it and we'll do some great things with that. But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks so much for joining. I appreciate you taking the time and always love chatting with you. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right. I appreciate you. Everybody have a great 4th of July. It's a great time to celebrate our country, and we need to do that. And I'm so thankful for it. I hope you are too. And you guys have a great weekend.
Thanks, Christy. Everybody give Christy a hand. Thank you so much,
Bye,
Christy. Talk
guys.
soon.